America, and welcome to Invent America, because America invents.
This episode of Invent America TV is brought to you by America's Inventor Lady and Home Talk USA. Home Talk is a proud member of the King's Broadcasting Network and has been bringing to you the best of America's home-based product innovation since 1998. This segment of Invent America TV is brought to you by the law offices of R.P. Baraska. RPB law offices have been bringing corporate-level legal expertise to the independent inventor community for more than 20 years. For all your inventing legal needs, trust rpblawoffices.com.
Welcome, America. That's right. This is the Invent America show here on Invent America Radio. I'm your co-host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, along with the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. We want to welcome our Home Talk USA radio audience that's now switching over to the Invent America show. I'm often asked, Cajun man, I'm kind of confused a little bit. Invent America, Made in America, Home Talk. What's jumping from show to show? Look, it's still Home Talk USA. We just focusing and zeroing in on one subject. And on the second hour, it's the Invent America products, the same topics that we've been talking on Home Talk USA for years and years. We just want to focus to that little bubble that where we can concentrate a little bit more on all these inventors. And then on the third hour is the Made in America, where we focus on the Made in America companies. So it's one big happy family, 3 hours of the very best of home improvement information and education. But now I'd like to welcome to the show. She is no stranger. She is the co-host, the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Miss Rita, how you doing?
Oh, just fine. And, I was a guest on your show over the last, 20 years from time to time. And, that do-it-yourself hour, it was frequently inventors who were on. And then the second hour would frequently be inventors who were on. And then the third hour, it was people who were inventors who were making stuff in America. Yeah. So, we got it all over the place. And now we've learned to focus. We do the DIY, just like your last guest. He would be great on Made in America. Yeah. So we'll get him on the Made in America hour. But, we learned that inventors, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. The 3 hours now have been kind of divvied up on more of a focus so that we can teach more information to the different groups of folks.
Yeah, and zero in to that, keep everything in a little bubble and where we can focus a little bit more on that particular subject. Let's face it, though, inventors and entrepreneurs, inventors are a whole different breed of person. I hate to say it, not that I'm criticizing. They're just a whole breed. They just think differently. They analyze differently. They just they problem solvers, or they might not be able to solve a problem, but But I wanted, and this is going to lead on to when I'm going to make a statement, and I think you're going to probably concur with this before we talk about how to monetize patents, and that's what I want to talk about, patents. But I'm often asked, and it just reminded me something that happened yesterday. I was down at the Walmart, and when I got to the store, I saw this lady trying to put a pool on top of her car and strap it down. Now, she was by herself, and all of a sudden she got to the left side of the car and she was trying to lift it up and then pushed it over and then it fell to the right. And okay, so I went inside the store. Maybe I should have helped her. I don't know, but that's not the point of my story. But she was there, and when I got out the store, she was still doing the same thing. And I thought about that. The greatness of America. Do you know what the greatness of America really is? And I was watching this woman, and eventually I did help her, okay? But it's persistence. That's it. I've been doing this show for 30 years and trying to figure out, this combination and put it in this gumbo pot and with all the ingredients and what makes America great. And, we've been saying, okay, what makes America great is the entrepreneurs, and you heard me say we don't counterfeit nothing. We invent things. That's all true.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But this persistence, that's the key.
Back in the day, if you didn't find a solution to the problem, the ship sank. You got stuck in Kentucky instead of making it to Wyoming when the wagon trains were going across. You had better be persistent or you died. And so, the best inventions we see are the ones that are coming out of someone's truck because they're out on a job. I have got a really cool invention that goes on the side of a truck, one of the big loading trucks, one of the trucks that hauls gravel and asphalt. And now instead of needing a whole team to spread the gravel around the side of the road, the truck does it because this guy's got this invention now that replaces a whole crew. So cool things, but he used to drive the truck. He used to watch the crews and the 6 guys out there trying to spread the gravel, and it was never straight. And holy cow, now in 10 seconds it's all straight. So we see it, we do it, and that is what.
And I think that's what separates us from the rest of the world. Persistence. That one little word, persistent. We're going to be persistent. We're going to figure it out. And and I was taught something yesterday from a lady trying to get this big pool on this small car, on top of it, strap it down, and anybody else would have looked and says, it's impossible to do. What are you doing? You can't. But she stood there. And I was in that store for about an hour. And she was still trying to figure it out. And, and I helped her figure it out with her persistence to try to help her. Not that I needed to help her, because when she pushed it over, I didn't want it to go over to the right side. And then she strapped it on the top. Now, that's not I don't know what happened when she left, but that taught me persistence. And I think that's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
And like giving an example, I'm going to talk about Elon Musk. Everybody, the biggest story of the week is he just became the first trillionaire, the world trillionaire. But the point is, let's talk about 15 years ago when he shot them rockets in the air and they blew up. Anybody else could have just gave up and said, "Oh Lord, I can't. What did I do? I just invested $10 million and my rockets are blowing up." Now he's going to put satellites all over, the universe here. So the point is persistence, and that separates the people that are successful from the people that's failures. And that's just my opinion. I got nothing to back it up. This is just my observation.
Well, you're right. It's persistence. And the one big thing that we see inventors having to, conquer, all right, is that challenge of monetizing, coming up with the idea, getting the prototypes done, even doing some manufacturing on a short run. It's the monetizing. How do you sell it? How do you get people's attention? And I think, we used to laugh and say the inventor's business plan was have idea, make money, have idea, get patent, make money. And we all know that is just not the way it works. You've got to have a lot more than just an idea and a patent. And so the TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy is out there now helping inventors understand. You still have to file the patent. All right. That's what gives you some leverage and some momentum going into it. It allows you to say, this is mine. You can't do it. But then how do you turn it into cash? And so that is what we're going to talk about today, because that is the big challenge for a lot of inventors.
Well, let's talk about that. We only got a couple minutes, and I know that's what we're going to talk about with the rest of the guests, but that's so important. How do you take an idea, get it in writing and do your test products and, stuff like that. But eventually, how do you get it to market,
A good patent is more than just a piece of paper that says,
right.
You own this intellectual property. That's, worth a few bucks on the paper. But when you're looking then at, all right, how do you can't just put up a website these days. Nobody knows it's there. How do you get the word out? Well, people are taught to pitch. Well, you got to have an audience to pitch to. You need somebody to catch it. And so, what do you do? How do you understand the difference between telling your whole life story in front of an audience and being able to actually then get someone that says, oh, wait a minute, how much is it? When I'm talking to people, the first person that looks at their watch while I'm talking at them is the first person that gets the next question I'm asking. Because, when you start asking, looking at your watch, you've lost. And that's, you've got to pay attention, focus and filter.
Yeah. But you're right. Lot going on here. Got a great show. We want to tell our audience to stay with us. We have, I think when we come back off a break, we're going to have Michelle Moulin, right? Now, what
Yes.
Michelle's going to be talking about?
She's going to be talking about, she's one of the inventors who's being featured at TIPA. So
Okay.
she's really going to talk about what she's done. She's got a really cool invention.
All right.
And so we're going to listen to what she invented
All
and
right.
then her participation in TIPA.
All right, let's take a short break right here on the Invent America show. I'm the Cajun contractor, Michael King, along with the inventor lady herself, Rita Crompton. We're going to be right back with our first guest. Yahee! Y'all stay with us now, you hear?
This segment of Invent America TV is brought to you by SearchQuest Patent Search. SearchQuest provides for a comprehensive patent search that searches the entire world and not just the U.S. Patent Office. Make sure that before you spend those big bucks having a patent written, you've done your due diligence by getting a comprehensive patent search. Use SearchQuestPatents.com for all your patent search needs. They scour the world for you.
Welcome back, America. This is the Invent America show right here on Invent America Radio. I'm the Cajun contractor, Michael King, along with my sidekick, the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Rita, who's our sponsor this hour?
Our sponsor for this segment is Aztec Washer. It is the revolutionary and innovative roofing product since 1968. If you've got a roof getting older, seal it right, seal it tight, aztecwasher.com. And my guest for this segment, we're talking about TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy, so that you can, there's more than just filing the patent. You got to be able to get it out there. And Michelle Moulin is my guest. And Michelle, what did you invent? Tell everybody, a little bit about yourself and what you invented.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. So in the patent, I have several patented inventions. This particular one that we're talking about, the power harvesting, came about as my group was working with near-field communication nearly 15 years ago. For those that need to know, near-field communication, most people are using it now in their phone to tap to pay through Apple Wallet and other wallet applications. Early on, and about 15 years ago, it was not integrated into Apple. People are not using it as much. We first got a patent in packaging using this near field to tap with your phone technology in packaging, and through our many iterations of our product design, we came across kind of our most our most used or our strongest patent, I guess is the right way to say it, where we can tap to power. So instead of just tap to pay, you can actually now use your phone to power something, to authenticate something, to turn something on. So it's more of a tap to power instead of tap to pay. It was a journey of discovery through multiple patent iterations where we discovered that we could do more than just a tap an NFC to pay or to have something delivered to the phone. We figured out that we could actually deliver power, kind of a reverse charging from your phone to an application, to turn it on, to unlock something, to go out to the internet, look for something, come back and deliver power.
Amazing. So how have you been getting, this is your field. So it's not like, you came up with a brand new idea and had to go out and create a marketing package. This is where you work. But still, how did you get people to start paying attention to it?
We're still working on it. As you know, I'm sure you're discussing, it's not an easy process, right? It's really, the patenting is just the beginning. And that itself is a really important part of securing a patent, and I'm sure you're covering all that, but it's a journey for sure. So we're still working on getting the licensing applications for this particular patent. We're very, very too early, really, for the most part, 15 years ago with this technology. So now people are learning now tap to pay is a consumer behavior that everyone knows. Soon people will start to understand that they can actually power things with their phone as well. So we're getting the word out through really market research. And even the market research then takes time to find the right fit or the right market fit, as you would say, as an entrepreneur, making sure that we find the right people that are doing the right, that are the right application for it, and really are innovative and find a value in the patent. So it's still a journey for us. We haven't fully realized the real patent potential yet. Some of which because it's just early.
Yeah, it makes a difference. And a lot of inventors are like, oh, wow, I've got an idea. And, they get out there where they're not a CEO. They're not a finance person. They're not a manufacturer. So, when they start having to deal with all of these things, I think early on, they don't realize how many steps, how many years it's going to take. How does TIPA help an inventor learn the rules before they're taken advantage of? I mean, that's one of the things that, there are so many scams and scoundrels out there that will hear it all the time. They'll say, oh, yeah, you don't need a patent. Just come and, you can pay us and we'll take it to market for you. It's like, it doesn't work that way. And so how does TIPA help them, one, realize what to be careful of, and then how, what to expect, I think is most important.
Yeah, I think they're a really trusted source, and there's a lot of steps along the way that you need a trusted source. As a CEO and an entrepreneur, I'm always very careful of who I have at my table, and I have trusted individuals at my table. And sometimes finding those trusted individuals is really tough, right? You think you're excited at the beginning. Maybe you've got people that want to be involved but don't really want to contribute. They want a piece of the company, but they're not really true value. You have to be really, really careful. I've fallen for those things, and even in my path, and I'm really careful now. I ask a lot of questions. Just because you're new to a market, or you're doing something for the first time, or you're just doing a patent, it doesn't mean that you don't know, and that you need to give up your idea, or pull in people maybe that you think know more than you. I mean, if at the beginning, it's really important that the inventor have a real sense of strength and confidence in what they're doing, even if they don't know, right? And so I think TIPA and the New England Events Group, they are really critical as far as having somebody at your table and being a kind of a broad resource, right from the beginning all the way through the patenting process. And it's a windy road. It's difficult. There's times, like any entrepreneurial journey, where you just want to kind of go, what am I doing? Maybe you'll question, or others will question you. And so to have the right people at the table is really, really important. Getting that kind of broad and solid information, and then having friends that you can talk to, whether it's TIPA or George or the New England Events Group. There's always somebody that somebody knows in that trusted group that can help you along the way. So it's incredibly important, and that's from the start of, like, where do I begin? Because there's lots of attorneys that will help you, and some really expensive ones, and it can be a really expensive process, right?
Oh, for sure. I always laugh and tell the inventor, it's not about how much they're charging. It just means they're driving a nicer car. Because a lot of times the good ones are just laid back and they're willing to help and want to help and get the product out there. I've known George for 20 years now, and we have been on the same page and looking out for inventors and answering questions. So it does make a huge difference. And I am really glad that you're part of the TIPA group and being able to talk about your experience. So we're going to take a break, everybody. We're going to go and pay some bills real quick, and then we're going to have the infamous George on, and he's going to talk about some of his experiences and what TIPA can really do. So stick with us, everybody. We will be back in just a few seconds.
If you're an inventor, or an inventor out there who would just like to be able to have a conversation with other inventors, join the Inventors Roundtable. It's free. The meetings are virtual, so you can be anywhere in America and talk to another inventor. And for a lot of folks out there, understanding the process, being able to ask questions, getting good service provider information is critical to the inventing process. So, got questions? Want to join? It's free. inventorsroundtable.org.
And thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. This segment is brought to you by the law offices of R.P. Baraska. RPB Law Offices has been bringing corporate level legal expertise to the independent inventor community for more than 20 years. For all of your inventing legal needs, trust rpblawoffices.com. And my guest for this segment is Mr. George Peters, inventor himself. Oh, and really cool because his invention is actually at the White House. So, George, tell everybody, What's at the White House? What'd you leave there?
Rita, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be on with America's Inventor Lady. My co-founder and I at Kettle Pizza, Al Contarino, called me one day, a fellow inventor, and he said, I have an idea to be able to cook a pizza on a grill. And as you know, Rita, it only takes that statement between a couple of inventors to say, okay, let's try to make one of these. And in Al's workshop next to his barn in Boxford way back in 2009, we rolled the first Kettle Pizza. Kettle Pizza turns charcoal and gas grills into pizza ovens. And in 2019, we were selected by the White House to represent Massachusetts as a Made in America product, which was certainly at the pinnacle of our career as being inventors. And Al and I went there and met the president, and we made a special Kettle Pizza Gas Pro with a presidential seal on it, and we're asked to leave it at the White House. So I tell everybody one of the most famous, probably the most famous address in the world, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, in their backyard, has a Kettle Pizza in it. So
There
that's
you
how we
go.
made it.
So everybody else should too, right?
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
So as an inventor, you faced a lot of challenge. What was probably the most common mistake that you see inventors make?
They fall victim to, as the bad actors, as we call them, saying that it's easy to get a patent or you don't need one, and they can help you take your product to market. And I can tell you from being in hundreds of rooms, the second question I got after how was my trip getting there was pointing what I had in front of me and the person saying, do you have a patent for that? If they say, if you tell them, yes, you do, they offer you a coffee. If you say, no, it doesn't, they, as you said, Rita, start looking at their watch.
Yeah.
So it's very important. And TIPA, we know, was going to become the gold standard for education for independent inventors. And the part that New England Invents was proud to be part of, creating value from your patent. It's just not about getting the patent for your product. It's, okay, how do you monetize that? How do you take that idea that you spent some time and money on protecting and try to make money from it? Or get into a position where somebody else wants to make money with it and needs licensing assistance, which we know that you're very good at, Rita. So it's all now kind of, we're forming this straight line of education now with our friends at Qualcomm and the Invent Together community to start to flatten out that EKG line, which is, you know, the inventor's life, up, down,
Yeah.
flat. You flatline for a little while,
Yep.
you get some money and energy, and you go back up again. We're trying to make it so it's incremental steps to the process, so you understand it. So TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy, and creating value from your patent will give real life experiences from people who've been through the process, both from the early idea stage to actual product.
Yeah, I think that, there's some inventors that have got the financial backing themselves, and they're able to go ahead and get, start manufacturing. They struggle with, the monetizing, the marketing, getting it out there. We always called it Mount Marketing because you're looking at the top of Mount Everest, basically, and wondering when you're going to get there. And it is filled with, challenges and scavengers and scoundrels and scams that will take advantage of somebody in a heartbeat. But I think almost every independent inventor gets to a point where they hit a ceiling. And then it's about leverage and finding the leverage and where can they go to get the biggest bang for their buck. And, because when you have the wow moment, it's not like you're even the Apple guy wasn't sitting on millions of dollars when he had his idea to teach somebody that an apple was something that you play with instead of something that you eat.
Right. That very important we're humans. We're always going to have ideas, but to be able to get, as mentioned many times in the show, the trusted sources. You have the Inventors Roundtable. We have New England Invents. There are other organizations around the country that are, let's say, for the good person, that they're not going to have their hand in your pocket to help you. The Inventors Patent Academy, creating value from your patent, are free courses. They give you a wonderful foundation. Rita, you know about that. You find the land, you found the foundation, but it's a long way before you can live in that house. There's a lot of work to be done. But having that good foundation, understanding the patent process before you start to go through it, maybe it puts you a little cause to wait a little while, saying, maybe I really want to understand this. You want to go over things with your family about this road you're going to start down. And that's very important to do. So gather as much information as you can, do some prior art searches to make sure your idea isn't already out there. There are many good ones out there. SearchQuest, I know that I've used it myself. So that's very important. We're trying to get as much valuable education in front of people with that idea as possible before they start down the long journey.
You know, it's funny because people will call me and ask me stuff, and it's, you know, it's like, you know what, give me a couple of minutes. And I go out and it's like, you might want to buy that one on Amazon. It's $24. That's a lot cheaper than trying to file a patent and make a prototype. And I had one gentleman, he used SearchQuest, okay, came back, and it's like, tell me what you think, tell me what you think. And it's like, not my job to tell you what I think. And he goes, well, just, you know, and I said, again, there are 5 different things out there doing exactly this. And he was so mad at me for actually telling him, don't file a patent. It was really interesting to watch his reaction. But we did a meeting the other night that was scams, scoundrels, and saboteurs. And so the people that came on, the inventors that were there sharing their stories, 2 of the guys that they described, I knew as soon as they said which state they were in, I knew exactly who they were talking about. So folks know that there are different scoundrels out there, and they try to avoid them. And sometimes they just don't know what they don't know. And TIPA can help them ask better questions.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing, to be able to ask better questions. And if you don't get those questions answered, it still doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't right.
Exactly. When they tell you things, it's like, oh, we can do this. Ask yourself in your gut, does this sound too good to be true? Because if it doesn't sound right, it's probably not right. And you go on and you ask better questions. You know, go in and do better research on the company you're talking to, because if you get down to page 50, you can see that they've scammed people.
You know, there's a lot of information out there. The first thing that comes up on your Google search shouldn't be the first thing, because a lot of those are paid right off the bat. Do some homework. Take the time early on to educate yourself as much as possible. I'm convinced, I've been doing this for almost 25 years now, that TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy, creating value from your patent, will become the gold standard by which all other, let's say, inventor courses that are out there. We're finally putting the team together in a straight line, Rita, and I'm looking forward to it for the next part of the journey for independent inventors everywhere.
You know, I am too. And one of the things that we've learned over, you know, some research the last few months is that the number of people filing for patents, independent inventors, has gone down because of the struggle of getting the product into the marketplace. And I think some of it is just not knowing what are the right steps to take. So we're going to take a quick break, because we do know that that is our next step. And we will be back with Morris Newman. Thank you, George, so much for being with us. And Morris is going to come on, fill us in a little bit more about what's going on with the TIPA course. So everyone, stick with us. We will be right back.
TrueUp, easiest way to hang your pictures. We all know how stressful picture hanging can get. TrueUp comes with everything you need to level and hang pictures with no damage and no mess. Just peel, apply the adhesive to the back of the TrueUp mount and press firmly. Remove the remaining adhesive. Use the level and press and hold for 3 to 5 seconds to attach the TrueUp mount to your wall with a strong hold. The TrueUp frame adapter is compatible with most frames on the market. Apply the adhesive strip to the adapter, stick, and your frame hangs easily on the wall mount. This lets you adjust your picture side to side for perfect placement every time. The possibilities are limitless, and it's easy on your walls. Picture hanging can be truly a one-person job. TrueUp, the future of hanging is here.
And thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America loves to invent. This segment is brought to you by TrueView. It is the only accurate 3D real-time imaging blind spot mirror available. It saves lives. It shows you exactly where that big semi is coming up right next to you before it falls into your peripheral vision and scares the living daylights out of you. 3D. All right, the TrueView 3D imaging blind spot mirror. You can get it at cargocatch.com. And my guest for this segment is Morris Newman. He's going to fill us in on the details of TIPA. Morris, thank you so much for being with us. And you have been working with inventors a long time, probably about as long as George and I have. So introduce yourself and then tell us more about the course that's coming up and how inventors can find it.
Well, thank you so much, Rita, for having me on. First, I need to apologize. I hope I don't lose my voice in the middle of this. I've got some sort of thing going on. My wife would probably think it's a great thing that I lose my voice, but it might not be so great for a radio show.
Probably not.
Yeah, but before we talk directly about TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy, something that you and Michael said a little while ago really stuck out to me. And that was you're talking about the persistence being such an important American value, and that it's absolutely vital for innovation. But knowledge is absolutely essential for that persistence. It's knowledgeable persistence that's the key. Persistence without knowledge is something which is dangerous, which is what you were talking about with some of the inventors who are going down the wrong path. And that's why TIPA, which gives that essential knowledge, is such a critical innovation. Now, the TIPA program itself really comes from three groups. One is, the ones who are actually behind it, is a group called the Invent Together Coalition, which is an alliance of nonprofits, universities, companies, and other stakeholders that are dedicated to understanding the participation gaps in invention and patenting and support public policy and private initiatives to close them, because everyone, can be an inventor. As George mentioned, Qualcomm is the sponsor and the creator of the Inventors Patent Academy program. Qualcomm, as many of you, if not all of you know, is a leading corporation that's dedicated to improving technologies to help all of us stay more intelligently connected throughout the world. New England Invents, that George leads, is a nonprofit whose mission is to help independent inventors from all around the country, notwithstanding our name, navigate their journey as inventors. Now, to talk about the Academy, TIPA itself, it consists of basically three online courses that are all provided at no cost to the inventors. The third segment of it, which is I would consider to be the first, is what George and I and you yourself, Rita, have been working on. And that's the course called Creating Value from Your Patent. I would suggest that all of the inventors out there take that course first, because it focuses on commercializing intellectual property for independent inventors. It includes segments on how to validate your product through market research to prove commercial viability, the importance of building a strong team, and selecting trustworthy advisors, and more. Then after you go through that, if you're still feeling as though, hey, this is something that is good, this is something I want to pursue, for my product, then take the Patent Essentials course, which is about a 2-hour long distilled version of the full TIPA course. It focuses on the essential elements of patent applications. It's intended for those seeking a quick start to understanding the process and learning some of the vocabulary needed to work with a patent attorney or agent or technology transfer office. Then finally, what's actually the first part of TIPA, is the comprehensive courses. There's 3 segments in that. The first is an overview of intellectual property rights, which, as we know, is broader than just patents. It includes trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. The second major segment is understanding patent law. Here they're going to get into the specifics of patents themselves, patent rights, how long they last. It includes the steps for applying for a patent. You'll also learn about the attorneys, patent agents, and other professionals who play a role in this process. The third segment, which is equally important once you are applying, is working with the patent office itself. This covers how to write claims, as well as office actions and responses. And here you're going to be this is helping you to know the questions to be asking of your attorney and to be able to properly respond to them. You'll also get a breakdown of activities that occur after your patent issues. This includes such topics as freedom to operate, infringement on patents, what's called maintenance fee payments, and possible challenges to a patent that you might run into. So those are the essential elements of the TIPA course. But again, based on what you and Michael were talking about, Rita, persistence absolutely is not just a human characteristic, but I think it's essential to the American characteristic. And it is essential for this country to grow. But it also, in the seeds of success are also the seeds of disaster, right? So you really do need to know this sort of information.
You do. And I think one of the biggest things that you guys help inventors learn is, how to watch for the scoundrels out there, because there's a lot of them that want to take advantage of it, the inventors. And so, when you give them kind of focus points on, what to do, it helps them then avoid being taken advantage of, because there's a lot of folks out there, they don't care if the product ever gets to market. They want to take advantage of the inventor.
Yeah, absolutely. Their product is getting money out of you, the inventor, right? That's
Exactly.
what they're looking to do. And in the TIPA course, there's quite a few points in there where it does give you advice about what to look for. But if you had to boil it all down to one thing,
Morris, we're running right out of time here. I
Okay.
want you to give everybody, how do they find the TIPA course? Where do they go?
Okay. I understand that you're going to be providing a link to that, and that's the best way to find it. They can also just simply, Google, the Inventors Patent Academy, and they can find it that way.
All right. So everyone, did you hear that? If you are an inventor out there and you know someone that needs some help, all right, TIPA, the Inventors Patent Academy. We will provide the link on the website so you'll be able to find it. And you know what? There is no place better to go and spend a few hours. It is free to attend. You'll be able to get all of your questions answered there. Morris, thanks so much for being with us. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week with more stories on getting products from mind to market. We will have new inventors and industry experts. So join us and have a wonderful week.